thank you. Welcome everyone, please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you everyone. Let know if you work in the, record here that right now, we're short of Jill, if she's on her way yet. But
She's on her way.
so we'll just show that she's not here at the beginning and we'll mark it down when we walk in the door. All right, thank you very much. Adoption of the agenda, is there a motion to adopt the agenda?
So many.
Thank you, Rob. Is there a second? Thank you, Dave. Any discussion? If not, Ann?
Can we just have a discussion real quick around the approval of the Nexus agreement so that the community understands what that is?
Well, we can pull that out and talk about it in consent, correct? Yep. Okay,
Thank you.
all right. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. Consideration of visitors. We have 4 people here tonight for consideration of visitors. 2.5 minutes to talk tonight. At the 2-minute mark, we'll have a sign put up, give me 30-second notice, start wrapping it up, and then we'll move to the next speaker. Please understand if you cannot talk about, get any questions on it, there is a sheet back here. Make sure you look at the sheet. If you miss quote or attack someone by name, well, that's what we sit down. All right, so our first speaker up here tonight, Miss Amy. Come on forward, Miss Amy.
Hi, dear school board members. I am Amy Lockman. I am a parent of a child in the school district. I listened to the work session from the last board meeting 2 weeks ago. I absolutely do not want the standard, I listened to the standard 2D learning environment or standard 8 racial consciousness and reflection brought into my child's classroom. I understand that these are required standards for teachers' licensures, but I know a lot of parents who do not agree to teachers incorporating this stuff into the learning environment. Please stop focusing on non-academic teachings. Our students need help with reading and math. There is still a lot of parents thinking of and are pulling their children out to private and homeschool. I know this has been a hot subject in the past with the Equality Committee a couple of years ago, but yet it keeps coming back. So I would like there to be a policy to create so there is not a negative effect on any children in the school. Or maybe parents need to start opting out of these teachings. Thanks, Amy.
Thank you, Amy. Good job. Next up is Debbie Muda.
Mother.
Debbie?
Hello, mother, hello, father.
That's a nice way to remember that.
Yeah, I know, that's why I say it. First, I want to thank you, to all board members and the teachers and the parents who have done their due diligence in regards to reading this Pelsby stuff and learning about it. I've read it 3 times and I frankly don't understand a lot of it, so I appreciate it. That must mean there's all sorts of things that go on here that we don't understand. So in regards to those Pelsby teacher licensing requirements, thank you. I also am concerned about the amount of time spent on those requirements, and I see the new requirements as leaning too much on societal changes and less on the actual academics, on the instruction of reading, math, science, history, and art skills. And to me, when the rest of the United States and the world is talking about the metrics and the test scores in those subjects, I feel like if we're having to implement so many new requirements, I understand that there's nothing we can do about the requirements now, that is the way it is, and we have to work within that structure. But I just want to say that it seems to me like It's gonna be awful hard for all those teachers to focus on all of those things and at the same time help the students raise their test scores. And it feels like it's actually lowering the bar rather than raising the bar to me, anyway. Thank you.
Thank you, Deb. Next up is Richard. Richard?
My name is Richard Klavachek. I live in Oak Grove on Lake George Boulevard. These are 10 rules taught to American kids in the schools 100 plus years ago. In 1916, a special contest was held. The goal was to create the best moral code for kids, and a college president named William J. Hutchins won. His ideas were expanded into a formal set of rules. The first is do your part. Kids were taught what needed doing and to hop to it. Number 2, to be a good sport, no cheating was a common refrain. This was applied to tests and ball games. 3, give it your all. Pride in one's work was instilled early. This applied to everything from penmanship to wood projects. 4, keep your cool. Youngsters were instructed to rein in their emotions, count to 10 when you're mad, teachers would say. They stressed the importance of thinking before blurting out words. Stay healthy. An apple a day keeps the doctor away, was the old saying. Proper sleep was deemed crucial. Run and play, the kids were told. This meant less time indoors and more time skipping rope or playing tag. 6, stand tall. Listen to your elders, but learn to choose for yourself, was the message. Being different wasn't something to fear. Courage in the face of challenges was admired. Problem solving was a prize to show. Spread kindness, the golden rule reigned supreme at the time. Gossip was frowned upon. 8, be dependable. Promises were meant to be kept. If you said you'd feed a class pet over the weekend, you did it. Punctuality was prized. Honesty was the only policy. 9, team up. Working well with others was highly valued. This could mean collaborative class project or in a scout troop. 10, chase the truth. Don't believe everything you hear was a common lesson. The proof was important before jumping to conclusions. Standing up for what's right, even when it's tough, was admired. Honesty with oneself and others was key.
Thank you, Richard.
If I could add something, a lot of these topics will be discussed at the next board meeting when we talk about social emotional learning. And so we'll have a more thorough discussion, at that time.
You'll include this?
I don't know if I'll include it as part of the packet, but clearly a lot of these themes are also themes in social emotional learning framework. So, that discussion will kind of take place naturally. Thank you, Richard.
At the same time, we'll let the record show that you'll arrive at 6:38 for the meeting. Thank you. Our last speaker tonight is Melinda, also on Phil. Melinda.
Hello, my name is Melinda, and I am here to express some disappointment in the way that the penalty standards were portrayed and discussed at the last board meeting. Throughout the discussion, I saw multiple times where the standards were seemingly purposefully misrepresented in order to make new requirements regarding things like cultural competency, social emotional learning, and racial equity seem outlandish, unfeasible, and even radical. We claim that we want every student to walk into school feeling safe and secure, Yet in the same breath, there was denouncement of the training standards that would help teachers keep Black and brown children, queer children, and non-Christian children safe. So I ask, which kids exactly are we trying to keep safe and which are we trying to push out? Because the discussion that I heard seemed to be in favor of protecting the bullies. And how many children are we willing to ostracize because we fear change? Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next up is consent agenda. Is there a motion to adopt consent agenda? So we'll thank you, Jill. Is there a second? Thank you, Pam. Okay, discussion? Pam, you had a question?
Yeah, so can we just, have a quick discussion around the approval of the Nexus agreement, just so the community understands what that is?
Who wants to cover that?
Typically though, after an item is pulled, then we vote on everything else and then come back to that item. So if we get entertained,
But if you want, we can also talk about it briefly, and then if you accept it, we just go on forward with it.
I'm okay either way.
That's fine, we've done both ways, so just, what is it then?
Yeah, so the Nexus agreement is related to the Crossroads East site. It's over in East Bethel, right close to the movie theater and our Savior's Lutheran Church. And
Can you talk louder?
sure, yep. So Nexus is the company that runs the treatment center in East Bethel. And I can't remember the name of the program. Cambia. So several years ago, the Cambia program was in that site. It closed down. Nexus bought the property and opened up a residential treatment center. So we have kids who are assigned to that particular building, for 24/7 care. By state law, we are obligated to provide educational services because it's located in our school district. And so we worked with Nexus to come up with this agreement that was reviewed and approved by the state, obviously Nexus and, the school district last year. So really, we don't have a choice in it. We need to provide the educational services. However, I guess we do have a choice as far as the location. We've chosen that it's much better for us to provide those services at the Crossroads East site rather than transporting those kids into one of our elementary schools. And so we made that decision. It's by far the right decision because of the needs of the kids. And this agreement is resulting from that.
Okay, any questions on Nexus? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Yes, Amy.
Are we voting on all of them or just
No,
Nexus?
we're voting on 4-1 to 4-6.
Okay, because I have my hand up, I would like to pull item 4-1
Okay,
and have discussion on it.
you want to have discussion right now? And you have an issue?
Well, I don't have an issue, I would like to add, I mean, it doesn't say a whole lot other than we discussed Housing standards. I have language I'd like to add if I could,
You have a link you want to add to the session?
to the work session
The
meeting
minutes.
minutes, yep.
That's the first to have something like that.
Well, no, it's not. Things have been changed in the minutes. I've sat here for many years, and there's times when board members have questioned or added things within the minutes.
Okay, so we'll take
If
it
you-
and pull 4.1 for discussion.
Thank you.
Yeah, let's go, and then we'll go, otherwise, let's go 4-2 to 4-6. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes. Thank you. 4.1. Go ahead, Amy.
Under 4.1, under the minutes, it reads, let me get down to it. It merely reads that there was discussion, Pellsbury standards discussion, that's there. I have some I'd like to add so that if community members actually go to it, they understand the discussion that occurred, which we've sat here for many years. Usually it's more descriptive than that, but if you want, I can read what I would like to add to the
Is
minutes.
along format should be turned in to be properly.
Well, I can read it to make sure the board's comfortable with what I have.
Okay, go ahead.
I would like to add, Ms. Johnson has concerns and questions with regards to the new standards on how and if Strand 1, student learning, and Strand 2, student environment can make their way into the classroom. Amy Kelly shared her concerns with the new standards and and concerns that they would make their way into the classroom and support a policy. Mr. Byrne, Ms. Anderson, Mr. Starr support the new standards, and Ms. West has concerns with the standards and wanted parents to know that there's an opt-out available.
Okay.
So that way, if people go and read the minutes, it doesn't just say, well, discussion occurred on Pellsby. What discussion? How? What? This is pretty, if people don't feel it's accurate, feel free to jump in and we can change some of that.
Okay. Mr. Nate?
Sure.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
I think if we're gonna make changes to the minutes, we should propose them in writing and submit them to Vanessa, and then we can discuss them at the next meeting, because I don't agree with Ms. Kelly's summary.
Okay, any other comments?
Is there,
Well, first of all, we haven't had a motion to accept the fee for everything. Let's do that, make sure we're fully under discussion. So we have a motion, right, 4.1, to add wording.
Yes.
Okay, 2 seconds.
I'll second.
Thank you, Pam. Discussion, now we're having discussion. Amy gave us information, Jill gave information. Any further discussion?
I'm good with the summary.
if board members want something removed from there, feel free to, we can remove it. This doesn't have to be, well, we have to take 3 months to, to approve the minutes. If someone believes that something's wrong, let me know. This isn't written with any ill intent. This is how I see the board meeting went. If someone else sees it, feel free, we can discuss it, add or remove something. This has to be written this way.
Okay, Annette?
I agree with what Amy is saying, especially because we are having problems with the owl from the last meeting, and it wasn't coming through real well on YouTube. So what she said about my support for the opt-out and what I said, I would agree to that, and I would be okay with that being included in the updated minutes.
Okay, further discussion. Nate?
So, as I understand, it's a work session, not a regular meeting, so, statements of support or non-support, again, it was a discussion, not a consensus or a voting topic. We were discussing the Pellsby licensure, so statements of support, really support or non-support. Again, we discussed that it was a state statute for the licensing requirements, which is what the topic was. We have not put in any of our meeting minutes discussions on individual board members in the past. So it would be a new precedence that we would be setting as we go forward when it comes to work sessions and discussions that we have here as a board. So I would just caution us to be careful on how we want minutes to read. I watched the owl. I was able to get all the information from it. Yes, it's very hard to hear. It is. It's a difficult system. We're doing things to rectify that. However, it doesn't eliminate anything that was discussed. You can get the information that was discussed. Again, I would just hesitate on adding things to that when it was a discussion for our work sessions.
Annette, had a hand up?
I don't think we're deciding on whether Pellsby, with what she's adding, we're saying she wants to add that verbiage, is what she's saying. She's not saying whether she's for it or against it. She wants to add that verbiage. She feels like it wasn't explicit enough, it was left out. We've had problems with the owl, sounds like she wants it in there. I support adding something to the minutes if we feel like it's been, perhaps not covered as clearly as it could have been with the recordings.
Okay, Rob?
Yeah, I guess I'd be in favor of what Jill said, putting it to the next meeting. I'm a paper guy, I like to look at things, digest them and see them. Even if we did it at the end of the meeting here, but I like to just look through it and see what I voted on.
Pam?
I just want to respond to some of what Nathan said. I think it's important that our community understands what is being said and who's saying it. And actually, if we wanted to, we could literally have a software program that could literally translate every word that's being said. Because remember, it wasn't that long ago that the whole YouTube, everything was gone for a couple of weeks. All of our meetings were gone, and there really is no, and I've had community members come forward and say, why are the minutes so cryptic? And I don't think, there is no precedent setting or non-precedent setting. The minutes are minutes, and anybody who looks up the definition of minutes, it can be as detailed as we want or not. And this is an item that I think we have the right to go ahead and put as much in there or whatever as we want. You can do it word by word. So I think it's important for our community to understand too where the board stands so that they can reach out and have discussions and understand why certain things are said or why certain, I mean, we don't need to hide. We're here as members of the community for our community. So I don't know why we would want to hide any of it, so.
Brandon, did we audio tape the meeting? The last workshop session?
I do believe we had it as a backup.
Okay. I haven't listened to that, but we could certainly post that in addition to the videotape because of some of the technical problems. And then everyone could hear everything that's said. I will tell you that I think it's a mistake to start writing summaries of that kind of information in board meeting minutes because we will spend hours of time discussing exactly who said what did they mean, they'll change their minds, they'll come back, they'll try to position as far as what's in the summary. MSBA, I do not believe would support, writing summaries like this. What I've always learned is that, there should be action items and, write the motion, who made the motion, who seconded it, and then the vote. And try to keep it as clean as possible. One advantage now is that we have videotapes. In fact, I think there was an audience member who also videotaped the session as well. So we'll start with the audio tape. That's my suggestion anyway.
Okay, feel that hand up?
Just went through and looked at every meeting for the last year, this year, every work session, there's never been a summary put in there. If we're going to pick and choose, that makes our board very questionable on how we're publicizing information and it's slanted to one particular topic or another. And I agree with what the superintendent said, MSP would not support full detailed minutes.
Okay, Pam?
I don't think that this board has to go by what MSBA would support or not support. We are an independent school district. I've said this before. We can fill out our minutes, the word by word if we want. Aren't you secretary? Amy? Full clerk? You're clerk, okay.
Yeah, the same thing.
Clerk, same thing, right? Clerk. So as a clerk, it's her role to review those, so I believe she's doing her job, and if she wants to, I don't think we should have to pick and choose either. I agree with you, Jill. I think that, but I have had community members come forward and say, this is really cryptic and you don't really know what's going on.
And
So they
again,
don't want to listen to a full 2.5 hour, video if we can get, so I'm just saying, MSBA is not an excuse for us to not add detail.
Okay, Amy?
And I'm fine with removing that Mr. Burr, Ms. Anderson, and Mr. Star support. We can put they have no concerns. Because you don't, I don't know why you're afraid to put it in writing. That's the meeting I was at last meeting. I'm not here trying to do anything other than let the community members know who don't want to watch a 2.5 hour meeting. How do they feel about something?
Well, thankfully, that section was only an hour long, and I think if people are really gonna understand people's position, they should watch the video or listen to the audio. They can come into my office and we'll play it for them. You know, and I don't wanna speak on behalf of any board member here, but I think it's unfair to say that board members don't have any concerns. It's much more nuanced than that. So for example, my position is that the state requires it, and so we need to do it. I mean, that's my position. I don't know if Nate, Jill, and others would agree, but this is a perfect example of how we're trying to wordsmith after the fact. By far, the best evidence is the videotape or audio tape. And I don't agree that we should transcribe word for word. I think that would be a waste of money. I went to East Bethel City Council meetings where they had these discussions over multiple meetings. I'm not sure how much they spend on that, because it's not just the software that they're using at the time, but it's also people time reviewing the transcript and making changes. I don't think it's worth the money.
I want to make a clarification because this has been said multiple times. The subject was not Pellsby as a that if it's required or not required for recertification or relicensing for teachers. We all know that. I clarified that it is required for relicensure. The concern in the whole subject discussion was intended to talk about, does this get into the classroom, and are we okay with all of this going into the classroom and spending classroom time on it? That was the subject. Yes, Pellsby, relicensure standards, whether or not they should go into the classroom or stay out of the classroom. That was the subject, not, we all know that it's required for new teachers, tier 3 teachers, and the 5-year relicensure. We all understand that, so we're all.
Let's stay on the subject matter. The subject matter is a motion and a second to add or not add information. What Phil is about, we already had that discussion.
No, I needed to clarify because Superintendent Carson
I have
said.
the floor. We're gonna go back to Amy. Amy had her motion. She has some wording. We're having discussion. Do we add or not add and change our minutes? That's what the motion's all about. We're not gonna get into discussion about Pellsby again. Miss Amy?
I'm fine with removing Mr. Burr, Ms. Anderson, and Mr. Starr from here and just adding the discussion that, and I can read it to you again, that Ms.
Okay, we already read it.
Well, just so we're on the same page, that Ms. Johnson has concerns and questions with regards to the new Pellsby standards, how and if Strand 1 on student learning and Standard 2 on learning environment can make their way into the classroom. Amy Kelly shared concerns with the new standards making their way into the classroom. Ms. West has concerns as well and wanted parents to know about the opt-out options that are available.
Okay, so we're gonna have a vote now. Rob, you have a question?
Not really a question, I guess I would like to see it pushed out to the next meeting to dig into it more.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor, we have a second. Do we add or not add? All in favor of adding the information that Amy's read to us, all in favor of adding that information to the minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we're gonna have a roll call by hand to make sure we on the minutes, we show what it is, all right? All in favor of adding the information, please raise your hand. Annette, Pam, and Amy agrees to add it to the minutes. Opposed, raise your hand. Jill, Mike, Nate, and Rob opposed adding the information to the minutes. All right, let's move on to Mr. Rob.
Can I make a motion to table it to the next meeting?
Table what? So we just had the vote.
I just voted on her verbiage.
But I think the vote was to add that.
To add in what
actual
you're saying,
vote
yeah.
on the minutes that were presented.
Yeah. Now, I will go on what Rob is saying. Should we have something that we want to add in next time, just do it ahead of time, add the information, get hold of the net, get hold of the superintendent, say, hey, I read something, we're missing information. They can have discussion to add it or not add it at that point.
So the minutes have not been approved.
Correct.
The minutes have not been approved yet. Right now, my friendly amendment was turned down by the board. So now if the board would like to approve the minutes, they can say yay or nay to it, Or Mr. Schoenbach can table it till the next meeting. I'm not sure, I won't be voting in favor of the work session meeting.
Okay, Rob, you go with
But we can do whatever we want.
All right, stand by. Rob?
Right, table to the next meeting, and come up with a different, or see what she has, and then.
You Miss Amy?
Do I need to send this hard copy to Vanessa, who will then send it out, or do we bring it forward to the next meeting? Because what we can't do is send it out to board members and start talking about it, because then you violate open meeting law.
Right.
But you can
You
give
can't
them
vote
the-
next time either, because it's not voting.
I mean,
Work session, it's a work session.
Yeah, but we-
oh, yeah, so it'll be at the one after that.
No, we do consent agenda.
Okay, so Rob, you want to table it in the minutes? 4.1, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Okay, we're going to table 4.1 until the next meeting. Amy, you have written stuff, you can send it in to the superintendent and Ms. Vanessa, and we'll take it from there to the next meeting. How's that?
Did we take a vote on
On the rest of it, or on the minutes? So,
On the table.
well, we have a table, we have a second to that?
I'm not sure if it's a, well, okay.
We have got-
It's a second, I don't know.
Say, if I could just have a quick minute, because we are obligated to have meeting minutes published within 30 days. And so I'm just counting up the days. So it'd be 14, would be now, 28, so it'd be the 11th. So we would probably be one day late, you know, as long as you're understanding of that. I don't want to be the one, you know, criticized for it. It's only a day, you know, I don't see it's a big deal, but I just wanted to throw it out there. Right. Well, it could take another week to publish just because of timing of the newspaper. And, you know, other school districts, I'm sure we have, you know, sometimes missed that 30-day timeline, but I just wanted to throw it out there just to be transparent.
All right, so with my bad eyes, this is all gone for me over here. All right, lay on the table, we have a yes for it. Does it require a second? Yes. Is there a second to Rob's motion to table? Is there a second? If not a second, it's no, it's not debatable, it's not amendable, it's a majority vote. Okay? All in favor, on laying on the table, please say, what's that?
No second.
There's no second.
No second, no second. Vote required is a majority vote though.
So there's no second.
Only if there's a second.
Then it goes to approving of the meeting minutes.
All right, there's no second, discussion, no second, no second. All right, it dies, Mr. Rob, okay? It dies. Now, yes, ma'am.
Motion to approve the minutes as they stand.
Yep, so now we're gonna go back to the minutes. Have a motion to approve the minutes, there's a second. Thank you, Nick. Discussion on approving the minutes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
All right, we'll go back to hands again. All in favor of approving the minutes, please raise a hand. Bill, Mike, Nate, and Rob approve the minutes. Opposed, please raise a hand. Annette, Pam, and Amy opposed. All right, let's move on to the next section here. Next up will be community information here, community ed, building grounds, 5.1, Mr. Ringwood.
That's me. So the documentation that you have before you in the board packet, thank you, Vanessa, is rather extensive, and there's a lot of departmental coverage that exists in that document. I do not want to belabor the board with going through that item by item, but what I would say is if you have any questions on the community ed part of that, I would be happy to field those now. Okay, just some quick, yeah, that's fine. Just some quick highlights. Early childhood, we've got some 60 voluntary pre-K seats that were a hot item across the state of Minnesota. We are very fortunate to have them. That does great things for our early childhood program, especially with funding. Childcare, we are short-staffed in childcare. It's causing stress on our families. That's not lost on us. We have 173 names on the waiting list. We met with a recruiting agency today that has done great work in other districts with recruiting for community education programs, especially in childcare. We have a lot of families that, hey, I just need 1 day a week or 2 days a week, and we can't staff that appropriately, and it's stressful for our parents. Our goal is to provide a home or a childcare option for every family that wants one. We are currently unable to do that. Facilities, driver's ed, youth enrichment. Marty Decanic is referenced in the document. Marty is a teacher at Cedar Creek, SFAS teacher. He is our only driver's ed behind the wheel instructor. He has worked his tail off this summer, getting kids trying to get caught up. We are still behind from COVID. That problem isn't going away. Fortunately, the state did allow us as driver's ed instructors and community ed programs across the state to continue to do some online learning for the classroom portion of the driver's education section. Adult basic ed is moving. In the past, they've been at the Learning Center. As the board is well aware, we tried to purchase an additional building to house some T15 kiddos because the T15 population. You want me to come up there and do that? Nope. Okay. Because the T15 population is exploding. I'm gonna go fast, so you might want to just hang out. Yeah, man, white up there. Can I buy a ball? So ADE is moving back to early childhood where its roots really are. It works really well in early childhood because you've got parents bringing kiddos in, and at the same time, if those parents can find some educational support or services, whether it's GED or English language learning or job training and skills, it's a one-stop shop, right? When we were over at early childhood and then moved over to Learning Center, it was before I was community ed director, but let's say 5 or 6 years ago, our participation in the ADE program plummeted. We then had COVID, which didn't help things. We are getting our hours back up, but we are doing so in some non-traditional manners. So we're hoping that this is a really good fit. Despite the move, despite the challenges we still have with space with T15, so really, hopefully a positive thing for ADE. Youth Rec is up and running. We've got a busy summer. Things went well. As you know, we had a couple school board members I saw this morning at our back to school fiesta this morning. The gym looks amazing. The biology rooms are amazing. The Saints room is amazing. We've done some really good work. We'll get a little bit more of that in facilities. But our summer camps all had to move off-site. And that's challenging for coaches who like routines, for kids who like routines and need routines, but we made it work. Despite the middle school gym not having air conditioning, the worst of the weather is happening right now, so we survived. So last chance for questions, comments, or anything on community ed. Okay.
So the 60 extra seats for preschool, how are those going? How are parents going to learn about that? How is that going to be disseminated? How do you get one of those free seats?
Our early childhood staff is the lead on that. They're taking the lead on that. There have been multiple communications that have been sent home. One of the questions we have is, do we target the families who need this the most, right? Because these are paid for seats. So do we target low-income families? Do we target families who have demonstrated need in the past? Or do we just offer it up to anybody? Because the person who has plenty of extra capital to pay for those seats, do they get the free seat? Or does somebody who needs it? So we're working through all that right now and trying to send information out. Right now, it's just, we've blasted information.
I know there's parents out there, and I don't know when you talk about more capital than others, that's questionable. I don't know how you figure all that, but
well, there are people who
decide?
demonstrate based on financial need for the district, like free or reduced lunch. Those are the people I'm talking about. So do we take the people who do qualify for free or reduced, or do we take everybody? That's what I mean.
So what I was going to say is there's parents out there who would like to, but can't afford that extra money. Therefore, their child doesn't get that opportunity.
Correct.
So.
Correct. And that's what I meant when, again, if those parents are already in our system and
or can they call forward and say,
qualify for free or
I'm not sure. I mean, I hear what you're saying, but does that necessarily mean that some of those kids need that? Just because they're low income, or are there other kids that do need that?
Correct.
You know,
As a young teacher, when my boys were
whether
little,
they have the income or not.
yeah, when I was a young teacher, my boys were, we didn't qualify for free or reduced lunch, but paying for preschool was challenging to middle class families,
Exactly.
right? So your question's not lost on me. We don't have a firm halfway forward yet.
Okay.
We got the seats, I think we were notified in June, and so we're working through that right now. Yep. I think Rob beat you, and I'm sorry.
And do those 60 seats have to go to 60 people, or can you divide that?
Like scholarship athletes,
Can you have
can you split the scholarship? I do not believe you can, but I don't know the firm answer on that, so I won't commit to that answer, but I don't believe so.
Joe, got it, right?
Yep, well, I think I was looking this direction, so I apologize.
As far as under the communications, I'm pleased to see some of the efforts that are being taken, as far as the new communications department with the e-newsletters, because I have had several parents communicate that they don't know what's going on in the district.
Can I pause you, because I'll get to communications in a minute.
Oh, okay.
I'm still on community. But hey, I want to hear what you have to say, that's great feedback. Jill?
Question, so Kids Connection, there's 239 kids contracted for care, and with Cedar Creek being 76, 48 for East Bethel, and 115 for St. Francis. Those other kids on the wait list, are they proportionately among the different schools, or are they all in one school, or?
So it's a really good question. I don't have that data. What I can tell you is that we don't have employees to staff East Bethel. So the East Bethel kids who have been accepted will be at Cedar Creek. So I don't want to make that I don't want to muddy that water anymore than it already is. But I don't have that data. Chris Schlottman will have that at the fingertips. I don't have that right now. I would say, yeah, I would say it's probably proportionate across. SFE, we've lost a number of staff there. There was a family that we had, multiple members of the family were all employed, and they all kind of left at the same time. So we're understaffed for what we have right now at SFE. So my manager there, our manager is working hard because she's scrambling.
Probably the 113 that are on the wait list, how long is that wait list? How long have they been on the wait list, do you know? Like, did
So-
they all just decide to sign up in August?
That's a
or-
great question. That's a great question. So the 113 that's referenced in here today, that's 173.
No, it's 173, okay.
Okay.
So it's growing by 6.
So one of the things that Chris Schlottman is a rock star at managing childcare and youth enrichment. COVID really did a number, according to Chris. I haven't done any digging on childcare centers in our community, right? People have shut down left and right. Small home daycares have shut down, and parents are scrambling for care. It is a dire need. So I don't know if I can fully, quantify some of that. What I will say, there are people that signed up in March that are on the waiting list, right? If people sign, and then this is the hard part, right? That's March. We still have people signing up today.
Right.
So yeah, they automatically go on the wait list.
And does anything move around in the wait list?
Yeah, so drop-in care right now is an absolute, you're at the bottom of the list, because we can't staff the 5-day needs, we can't staff the 4-day needs, we can't staff the 3-day needs. We're not gonna just sign you up for drop-in care. We don't have the staff for it. So yes, the number of days that you're requesting is a factor.
Thank you.
Yep. I wish I had better answers. I feel bad for her. Yep, and we're working hard to rectify that. Let's move on to buildings and grounds. I haven't forgotten about you. I'm with you. I do want to take a moment because this is, since there are some board members not running for re-election, this is the last time that Chris Werders will officially be an employee for you as a board, for this group as a board. There will be some.
See, guys, here, we're showing minutes, so there's just about 13-minute break here due to the storm and the alarm system. And the owl went down on her, we'll get you out and bring it back. All right, Mr. Lundquist.
Thank you. I flash back to the time, sidebar, when the last board meeting we had and the power surge, it was last summer, if my memory were 2 summers ago. And when that owl came back on, you remember what it did? It hooted at us like an owl. So I was really hoping for some levity in the situation, but the owl just cooperated. Back to maintenance, buildings and grounds. This is the last time as a board you will be able to recognize Mr. Chris Wirtz. Chris is set to hold the ball just real quick. He deserves it, so just bear with me. Chris is set to retire this Friday after 38 years of service. The challenging part when we lose, well, one of the challenging parts, because there's a lot.
2 or 3, right?
When we lose people like Chris is, especially this time of year, the school district can't formally recognize him or doesn't formally recognize him until the following spring. Because we have people that retire at intermittent times all year long, and we can't hold formal ceremonies for every single person who retires. So I wanted this board, because some of you may not be here to recognize them next spring, just to say, have the opportunity to say thanks. I don't know if you know this about Chris, but he grew up in St. Francis. His parents lived, one of his childhood homes was right behind the hardware store kind of. His grandpa was a school board member. His grandmother, Ann Wipers, was on the plaque at Sandhill when the Sandhill building was built, or the Bethel Elementary, excuse me. And his grandmother is actually, happenstance, didn't know about it, is on the mural in the high school from the graduating class of 31 and 32. So there's a lot of family history here for the Wirtz family. His wife Kathy, or Crash as we affectionately know her, also works for the district. And he actually drives vehicles, which is a little odd. Carson mentioned that this morning. But these are big shoes to replace. There's a lot of knowledge upstairs between those years. And if you ask Chris what year that a certain project happened in the building, he can fire it off like that. So he's still sharp as a tack. He's not decrepit. We're not pushing him out the door. We are thankful for your 38 years of service. So one more time. Chris is so adept at doing his job that, in the best interest of our organization, we hired 2 people to replace him. Okay? So I'll introduce Chuck Pinker. Chuck has been our lead maintenance staff member in our district for going on about 10 years, I think, right? And Chuck is taking over the maintenance and facilities part of Chris's role. And in addition, we also hired William Dial. William Dial, we affectionately known as Bill, was our former head custodian of early childhood. One of the things that the first time I met Bill a few years ago in early childhood, was just the cutest little kids ever. They all affectionately went up to Bill and want to high five him, want to knuckle him, and want to hug him. Bill is a really good custodian, and we are very fortunate to have both of these gentlemen step into their roles. So Bill will be our custodial supervisor, Chuck will supervise Bill, in addition to grounds, which we'll cover here in a minute. Thank you, Bill. Sit down. Thank you. As board members well know, we spent a ton of time doing work in our buildings. High school gym I mentioned, the biology classrooms I mentioned, the Saints room I mentioned. There are so many projects, I'm not going to go through them all. Some of them are impacts from the original construction, and some are just improvements that we needed to make that board members identified when we passed the bond. Questions on any? I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about grounds. Nate is unable to be here tonight. Nate Williamson is our lead grounds guy. He was instrumental when we did the Care 11 Sunrise event at the high school for celebrating Olympian Dakota Lindworm from St. Francis area schools. And Nate took it upon himself to paint the Olympics rings on the middle of the football field. I didn't even know he was doing it. Now, it's unfortunate that the IOC told us not to do that, and I was unable to get to Nate ahead of time because nobody can use the Olympic rings in its likeness without IOC approval. So if the International Olympic Committee decides to come knocking on my door, I'll beg for forgiveness. But it was pretty cool. Care 11 did a nice job highlighting it. The drone footage highlighted it. And Nate is an incredible asset to our school. Just the other day, it's raining, Nate was spraying something on the football field, and there were kids nearby, and I was immediately concerned. And I said, what are you doing? He wasn't spraying chemicals. He was spraying an agent on the turf that helps retain moisture in the sand. And to date, Nate has saved the district several thousand gallons of water from going onto that field. And in addition, went from grass root length, I never knew I'd be talking about this to you all, that was 1 to 2 inches when he started to 8 inches now. So our field is very, very healthy. Barb Anderson officiated a soccer game last week and sent me an email and said, Chris, for 30 years, I've been up there at school doing that work. It's never looked so good. Our baseball coaches say the same thing, our softball coaches say the same thing. So there's great work happening in buildings, in custodial, and in our grounds department. Next, I'm trying to scroll down on my computer. Is communications. And Dax Larson. Dax, have we introduced you guys before though?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you. Just want to make sure. Dax has done a fantastic job. Annette, I know you talked about it, and so I'll lead into your question for you, because Dax has worked really hard to create a district-wide SMORE account for St. Francis. We've had a couple of buildings piloting SMORE. Cedar Creek and Mr. Alberts were the first to do it. And when we switched from our old website to our new website, we lost an ability within that to send out e-news, is what it was called at the time. And so this district-wide SMORE account fills that void and helps us communicate in a more friendly manner with families. It's branded. Dax is working very hard to come up with templates for all the buildings to use, and we're quite honestly really excited about this as a platform for us. So what can I?
So is that an app-based? How does that work? I mean, how do I get this connected to the people who don't feel like the communication is there?
So I have to ask a couple clarifying questions. SMORE is a building, the SMORE app is a building-wide thing. So the Cedar Creek building will use SMORE to email out information about Cedar Creek. East Bethel High School, all the same thing. Now, we've talked about a district-wide SMORE account because it's under the district umbrella. Dax, can you speak to us as a district-wide entity using SMORE?
Yeah, so it's essentially a web-based program. In addition to the school sending out information directly to families on a more consistent basis, we'll also have a district e-newsletter that'll kind of encompass all the different buildings or departments, updates, those type of things that the community will be able to subscribe to. That will give more community members as a whole an opportunity to see what's happening in the district.
So we don't have a district-wide link yet.
Not yet. No, we're still in the creation process, and hopefully within sometime in September, we'll be able to roll out that opportunity for the community to subscribe to.
And those links, when they do come out for district-wide, but if a parent comes to me and say, I don't know what's going on at Cedar Creek, how do I share the link? How do I get access to the link to share with that community member so that they are now more connected?
Sure. Yep, that's a conversation we'll have to have, allowing people to subscribe to school-specific e-newsletters. This is not something that we've discussed yet, but definitely something that is a functionality of it. We'll also archive all the communications on our website, on the school pages, so they may not necessarily be able to subscribe to it right away, but they'll be able to view it on the school website once that's established.
I need to clarify something else. When we send out a SMORE newsletter to Cedar Creek families, for example, I don't know why I'm picking on Cedar Creek, but that goes to all of the families that we have in our student information system, which is at the campus. Okay? And that syncs automatically. So when a kid graduates from 6th grade or 5th grade and moves to 6th grade, then they're pulled from Cedar Creek and then inserted into the middle school database. So we don't have a way to pull automated email addresses from the community and send it to Annette West, because Annette doesn't currently have a student at Cedar Creek. So the interim solution there is to put it on the website and archive it. I do think there's a potential, and we're very interested in tracking this down, for people to subscribe to the newsletter. And I'd like to ask a few follow-up questions, but I'll get there in a second. One of the troubles or challenges that we've had is when we've sent out emails to the entire community, with all 34,000 residents, we get a lot of really angry feedback that says, why are you sending me this? I have no interest in this, take me off your mailing list. And so when we have challenges with communication, people don't feel like they're getting communicated with. I need to know more about that. Dax and I need to know more about that, because communication is a two-way street. And if you're just sitting and you expect to get it, we're not gonna get you the information you seek because we don't know.
Yeah, we don't, like our internet is.
Means we're down on the internet, we do have the audio right here. We're gonna record audio like any other time frame. It will not be live on the owl due to the internet is now down due to the thunderstorms. So please put the word out to your people that, hey, we lost everything. To continue the meeting, Mr. Lindquist, board, folks that are here, we're now live on audio. So please speak up when you talk. Please speak quite loud. The audio can pick you up. Go ahead, Chris.
Okay, thank you. I think what I was saying when we were interrupted again was that communication. So oftentimes, since I've been here, I've heard, oh, the district's communication, and we really need to drill down on what that means, right? Is it nonverbal communication? Is it verbal communication? Is it electronic communication? Like, what aren't people getting and what do they need more? I can't fix the problem when we just say communication, right? When we just say that there's a problem and we get this big blanket word, it's hard for me to really drill down on your version of what you're thinking is lacking in communication might be different than it is. And so if you get people reaching out to you saying, hey, I'm frustrated by this, please ask some clarifying questions or send them to Dax or I so that we can really drill down and fix whatever that problem looks like.
And so I can tell you that they were looking for more up-to-date things in the mail. More like a newsletter, like kind of what is down here at bullet point number 3.
Yep.
So they were looking for more like that, but I'm wondering if this would have been a step towards, you
Yes.
know.
Well, so, yeah, let me address that if I may. Our communications department has evolved radically over the last, I'd say, 5 years, maybe even 10. We used to be a print publication. We used to print the Courier, and the Courier was a monthly publication that was sent to everybody's home. If you've watched some of the news report on that's at Carver, Chanhassen, Chaska area, all of the small town newspapers down there have folded up shop. They cannot make a business model with print media like we used to. And so, no different from us. We used to employ a staff of about 6 people. We had people selling ads, we had people running around creating stories and content. And with the age of digital media, that is slowly filtering away. I don't think financially we can afford to continue to do that practice where we're sending out a monthly publication. And in addition, and Carson and I have talked about this on many occasions, there's no local newspaper out there anyway. ABC News covers us sometimes, but not exclusive to our district. So if we need to do a better job of reaching people, so we went from the Courier, which was a monthly publication, to Saints Quarterly and a cost-cutting strategy. And we used to produce it 4 times a year, and then we had some additional cuts, and now we only produce it twice a year. Beginning of the school year and end of the school year. I'm not opposed to reevaluating that, but there's a significant cost with increased staffing issues or staffing elements that have to be addressed as well. And it's a struggle for us to sell ads that recoup the cost of a mailing to 34,000 people.
Great. And then it says here, you're gonna have something in the mailboxes this week. How often does this communication, the summer edition of Saints News, so you just said, how often is that gonna go out?
Saints News is a biannual thing, so we do one to kick off the school year, and then we do one at the end of the school year to wrap it up. Right. The printer just delivered it today, right? Postage, I paid for postage on Monday. We would expect that to be in mailboxes yet this week, which is really good timing. It's what we strive for, because this is open house. This is back to school. There's a lot of information about our district in that mailing, so it's very strategically timed up.
If I could add too, Chris, that we did add communications planning as a workshop topic in October. And so Dax will have some documents to share with us, and then we really want to hear from board members in addition to what we've discussed tonight to see what changes we could possibly make.
And please be as specific as possible. Please drill down on any communication issues so that we can really narrow down what the issue is.
Okay, you done?
I hope so.
Any questions of Chris? To the staff, they're all gone now fixing the cowbells. The facility, that new gym in there looks outstanding. Haven't been to a gym yet. It looks very, very nice in there. A lot of good work.
It's not new, it's a facelift.
Well, it's a facelift, but boy, the painting in there and all the work they did in there looks very nice. I heard they had a couple of baseballs they found up in the rafters when they were painting.
Oh, yeah.
How many was found, you figure?
Well, it wasn't just baseballs, frisbees, footballs, basketballs, soccer balls, all, I mean, everything under the sun.
It filled a couple of buckets, I heard.
Yeah, fill the cart.
So, all right. Any questions? If not, we'll move on. 5.2, first reading policies 506, 507, 509, and 514 is first reading. Between now and the next board meeting when we vote on the new policies, please read your policies. If you have questions, please call in to the respective agency, group here. Get your questions answered before our next meeting so we don't spend a lot of time discussing 507. Get your questions ahead of time, take care of the problem. Any questions on first readings? Yes, sir.
When's the next policy committee meeting?
September 9th. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Thank you much. Next up, 5.3, admin report. Mr. Superintendent.
Library Materials Review Committee is being formed. The background information said there are 2 books that have been formally challenged, but now it's 3. So I just wanted to update you there. Good news about the State High School League fees. Oh, sure.
What are the dates of when those books were challenged? Do you have dates on it?
Oh, one was, I think, in April, and then one was this 2024. And then one was sometime this summer. And then the third one was after this was issued, so probably Thursday or Friday of last week. So I think once we selected 2 teachers, have a organizational meeting, I'm hoping that we can start cranking these out relatively quickly. Ben?
I know that there was some edits asked about the library committee and that, and if the community members could be involved in that. Is that gonna be a case, or are you still waiting on the policy revision?
And Brandon, do you want to address that?
Yes, at the next policy committee, we'll be finalizing that discussion.
Well,
Miss Amy?
at the last policy meeting, if my memory serves me correct, there was a discussion to send it back here because it's Jill and I on there and nothing will change. And so I thought, Brandon, you mentioned of just putting it forth and bringing it forth before the board to have a discussion, which is what we wanted in the first place. If my memory serves me correct.
Go ahead, Brandon.
Correct. I'm bringing to the next policy meeting my recommended language that we will approve at that meeting to bring to the board about the committee makeup.
Miss Amy?
Why would it go through policy? Why don't we just put it through Mr. Starr if it's decided it's going to come back to the board here? I'm not sure why it would have to be approved language, because the language could possibly change at this meeting anyways with it coming forward to the full board. To me, that's just putting it off again. And we have a board member that's patiently waited since January of last year to look at this and revise it, and here we are in August, the end of August, going into September, and nothing has been done, no changes have been made, and now you're recommending that it come forward to the board to do exactly what wanted to be done, really to keep it at the board level last year. So, but I would recommend just bringing it forward to the board.
Jill?
So I would like it to go through policy with what the recommendations would be, the documentation of what we're going to bring forward, because everything that's come forward to the board table always has gone through policy first. So we're aware of it. I know we've discussed it multiple times. That language has changed. There's all of a sudden been additional things added, and to have that all documented of what has been considered and if we've agreed or not agreed to any of it. That's just my preference. And,
Good.
and I disagree with the statement that it hasn't went anywhere, because we've had considerable discussion on this topic at the board table, at policy, back and forth. So it has had discussion.
Discussion, anyone else? Because it has followed policy before. You break routine, it's always been to your committees. Your committee brings it forward. Discussion could be at the board, and then we can make changes if we had to. Brandon?
I don't have my notes from the policy committee with me, but my recollection is that I was to draft something and bring it to the next policy committee, and then that is what would go to the board to decide what the committee makeup was. But we were going to decide what went to the board for the board to decide.
Bring your information together, policy, you massage it, word it, and then bring it to the board like always. We've always done that, correct? All right, Ms. Annette had a hand up.
My question would be, do those notes include potentially involving a community member?
Brandon?
It's included, it's what would be recommended. We're not in agreement at the policy committee on what the committee should be. So it was going to recommend what the board would decide about what the committee is, which includes community members, if I recall correctly.
So,
Wait, Ms. Pam had a hand up.
so I just have a question, because you keep talking about the committee, but there was a whole bunch of changes that I had proposed. And I proposed them in, I don't know, it was February. I know you guys didn't have you kept canceling the meetings, but it was a long time ago, but it was more than just the committee makeup.
Correct. There was talk about
A bunch of extra words that I proposed to put in there so that it mirrored the internet policy. About vulgar books, vulgar language and all that. Okay, so that's
discussed.
That's
And
being proposed?
Well, I apologize for not having my notes in front of me, but my recollection is I had
That's
work
part
to
of it?
do to bring to the next one. I don't remember if that was part of it or not.
I hope so, because that's what I was looking for.
Okay, Ms. Amy?
I think there was discussion at the policy meeting, if my memory serves me correct, on how we use the internet and how that unfolds into the library books, materials. And, you know, there's some of us that would like to have a more descriptive of what, just like we do with our internet, to mirror the internet policy that we have, so. And again, this, if it goes through policy, that's fine, but I know we have board members that have, a board member that has been very patient waiting for this to come back to the board, and it's been a long time. Long time.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Superintendent, what else? On your admin
Oh,
report?
yeah. The next item is good news. We approved the membership with the State High School League this past summer with the understanding that it would be authority up to a $10,000 fee for this year. The State High School League came back and said that schools in Minnesota will pay $0 per student for this year. And I think it was increased revenue from, I think, TV broadcasts, state tournament games, and those kinds of things. And so they generated enough revenue to not charge us anything. So right now, for this year, it's a $100 fee for membership in the organization, and then $50 per activity. So very inexpensive.
Very limited.
I did include copies of the district student handbook as well as redline version, and I tried to highlight some of the more significant or most noteworthy changes in the administrative reports. I know we talked about not approving it at the district level, but I thought it was a good idea to at least share what the handbook will look like in case there's something that really stands out. Are there any comments or questions about the handbook? Okay, I'll try to get it out probably on Wednesday. So if there is a question or comment, if you could send me something, right away tomorrow morning, that would be helpful. And we're very happy that the school calendar, the big paper calendar was dropped off at open houses this year, thanks to DAX. Last year it did not happen in a timely fashion, so we're really happy that it happened this year. Because I'll tell you what, there are parents who live and die by that paper copy of the school calendar. Oh, one other thing, I should have brought this up at the very beginning. It's, I was gonna bring this up anyway, but there were two people who spoke about public comment, like about the Pellsby standards and possibly opting out. Last week I did reach out to the school's attorney about when parents can opt out of instructional materials. And so I got a response that, that I think was really helpful in terms of deciding when parents can opt out and when they can't opt out. I don't want to go into too many details because I need to really follow up with the attorney to make sure that I understand. But I think in general I can say that the new social studies standards will be in effect, I think, in the 26-27 school year. And so once those are in effect, I mean, the kids will need to satisfy those standards if it's through the instructional materials that we provide or maybe an alternative assignment or something, but the standard still has to be met. Until that time, I don't know if, if there are standards that are not required by the state, that gives the school and parents a little more flexibility. So parents could opt out of particular standards, and then we would just provide an alternative assignment that may not be related to those particular instructional materials. I didn't say that very well. Again, I really need to look at the lawyer's opinion, and I have 5 or 6 follow-up questions, but I think if we do this really well, it should provide parents some guidance as far as when they can opt out and what it would look like. So
Can we just get that on the agenda then, when you get that information, and just have that full discussion and maybe a presentation so that parents understand it and can decide then how they want to go forward?
I can, yeah.
That'd be good.
Yeah, I don't know how long it's going to take. She responded really quickly when I sent the initial question out, but I want to try to get enough questions that make it a really good discussion and then write something that I would share with her. So that, I don't share something and then all of a sudden, there are questions about it, we go back, but that will be a high priority for me.
Okay, anything else?
That's it.
All right, well, thank you very much. Any further questions, the superintendent? Rob?
Just the first one, the election information, it says 10 candidates, isn't it 11?
There were 11 who originally filed, and then 1 withdrew before the deadline. Because you have 2 days after the filing date, 1 withdrew, and so we have 10.
Gotcha.
All right, move on to action item. We have one item only, nutrition manager's employment agreement. Is there a motion to accept? Thank you, Jill. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Rob. Thank you. Discussion on 6.1. Discussion. Pam?
I think I found some typo errors. Let me look real quick. I think it was on this one. Yeah. I don't know if you want me to go over them, if you want me just to go to Brandon, they're just typos. There's page 6, 2024 through 2024-5.
Go ahead.
So if you want to
the 4 has a strikeout through it, it's hard to see because it goes right.
Oh, because it's right on the 4. Okay, all right. Okay, there was a couple of more. Trying to highlight them, I got them all. Okay. On page 11, the school district reserves the right to direct W employees.
You said that's page 11.
Page 11. Do you see it? It's in the red line area.
This is W in front of.
It's a W in front of employees.
And report.
And report is there another one? Did you say? Oh, yeah, the W, yeah, to report. There's two extra W's in there.
Sorry, I'm trying to find
It's in the middle of the page. It's under e-learning days. Oh, I'm going by the page 11 down here.
Contract page?
Yeah.
Contract page.
It's just above holidays, two sections above, 2 paragraphs above holiday.
The e-learning?
Yes, in the e-learning area.
Okay, now I found it, sorry.
There's 2 W's, there's W for in front of employees and W in front of report.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's,
And then the next page,
okay.
on the first paragraph, section 1, under the leave surrender, 3 is, they forgot the T.
No, it's there. It's just black.
Oh, I see.
Just the W and
Oh,
O
that was weird.
crossed
Okay.
out.
Okay, sorry. Okay, let me see if there's one more. The 24/5 is the same thing again. Okay, that was it.
All right, any further discussion on 6.1? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6.1. Thank you. You see number 7 there, upcoming meetings and preliminary topics. It's in there. Again, we always say contact superintendent and myself, Vanessa, to get things added or deleted for future information for work sessions and or the agenda. School board member report, start with Mr. Nate. Go ahead.
The first early childhood advisory meeting was last Thursday. Mr. Lindquist provided most of the data that was discussed during that, but they're super excited for the school year, and they had good participation like they always do going forward. But again, all the information that was discussed was all part of the community ed report. I was able to attend the MSBA Summer Leadership Conference in early August. Great programs and great speakers talking about governing to improve student success, and then also how policies have a direct impact on some of our student success as well. So very appreciative to be able to attend that. That's all I've got.
Okay, Mr. Net?
I have nothing.
Ms. Pam?
I haven't had any committee meetings.
Mr. Rob?
I attended the open house at the high school tonight, and it's just nice seeing the kids and parents and teachers back in the school. I also attended my daughter's volleyball games, which one's still playing, but it's just nice going into the gym now, and it just looks so new. I mean, Chris brought it up earlier, I mean, bleachers are handicap accessible, everything's painted, and it just looks bright and vibrant and nice.
Thank you. Ms. Amy?
The only thing I'll add is I wish Chris was still here, but I've known Chris for a long time.
It's okay.
Oh, where is
You
he?
just like
Chris.
Word.
Chris.
We've got multiple issues due to the weather at multiple times, so.
Known him for a long time. I consider him a friend. He's also a client of mine. I see him about once a month, every 5 weeks, and I've always enjoyed my conversations with him. I consider him a friend, and I want to congratulate him on his retirement. He'll be missed. There's big shoes to fill. The knowledge in his mind goes on and on and on, but exciting to welcome the new individuals who will, 2 of them that will take Mr. Wurz's place. So, thank you, Mr. Wurz, for your many years of service. That's all I have.
Thank you. Ms. Jill?
I have nothing to do.
And I have facility meeting we had here the other day, but a lot of information you heard about our facilities, what's going on, what's happening. Chris Lindquist talked about it tonight. Still working on some issues out there. It's coming together in the last week here to get ready for the opening day of school. And our schools are looking really super nice when you walk around inside them. I attended Welcome Back today for all of our staff at the gymnasium. Great presentations today, good information passed out. Mr. Nate was down there at the Welcome Back. And a lot of staff, when I asked for all new staff, please stand up. A lot of new people stood for us. I asked the question, if you're a former student of St. Francis and you're now a member in our staff, wherever you may be at, please stand. And we had a lot of new staff people that are former, not new, but former students here that stood up. So that's nice to see. We have a lot of people coming back to work for their school district. So thank you very much and all the work it took for Vanessa and someone else who was here, but she's gone, to get that room set up. It's a lot of work. And we talked to Mr. Lundquist about an easier, faster way, but funding may be an issue. We'll still continue to talk about in facilities. Other than that, that's all we have tonight, folks. Thanks for coming in. Adjourn at 8:02.